I have absolutely a ton of news for you this afternoon. And of course, I'm the only person that does give you news on Saturdays. I'm also probably going to give you more news than usual on Monday and even Tuesday, because I think a lot of the regular guys that I love and you love are probably not going to be giving you much news. So I'll try to fill in those spots for you, but I will back away when Dylan Loomis and Rob Maurer are back, because I'm happy to have them take over that responsibility. Okay, I think everybody in the entire Teslaverse is all about the numbers tomorrow. And I'll start by giving you a few of the guesses, and I'll end up by giving you some of my own numbers, but there is a lot of other news. So let's get into it. This is Randy Kirk. If you like the Saturday news program, hit the like button. I want to remind you right now to go, if you didn't take a look at it this morning, you need to go look at the Larry Goldberg video that I did earlier today. Right now, based on the numbers, it looks like it will be the highest performing video that I've ever done in the 7 months since I started the show. So people are really liking this particular video. He has uncovered billions, not millions, billions of dollars in secret profits that will be hitting the Tesla P&L in the future. So you think that's worth a watch? Yeah, you need to go take a look. Here's a card. I never remember which side it's on. All right. So also hit subscribe, hit notify. Tomorrow morning, we've got, yes, we do. We have Brian White on, and he's going to talk some more about the Model 3 update, and you're not going to want to miss this. I promise you, it is worth the watch, because we've discovered something. Well, it's just not talked about. Nobody else has said anything about it yet. Well, maybe a couple of times it might have been mentioned, but we go into much greater depth. All right. Anyway, and of course, Patreon. I just really quick, I would love to have you get on Patreon. Right now, I'm going to just assume that my Patreon is never going to grow very much. So I'm depending on viewers. I'm depending on subscribers. I'm depending on people that hit notify. Those are the ways I'm growing the channel. As I mentioned earlier in another video, I have hit my goals so far for this month, for last month, for June. I have definite goals for July, August, September, October. I think the advertising that comes in from YouTube will pay for this channel in a way that would be adequate to cover my costs. So just keep looking, keep watching. If you want to spend $5 a month, there are benefits to being on my Patreon, but I'm going to try to do it just with advertising and maybe with a couple of advertisers or sponsors on the show as well. All right, let's start out. Gary Black says, my Tesla second quarter delivery estimate is 450,000. That is plus 77% year over year. Comparing it to second quarter last year, it is 6.4% quarter over quarter compared to January. And the fact set is coming in at 445, a little less than him. The IR consensus is coming in at 446.8 thousand. So everybody, you can see there's a lot of jumbling together here in this 445 to 450. A few people even 455. The second China deliveries were, he goes on to say, second quarter China deliveries expected at 150,000, which is plus 9% quarter over quarter in the world's most competitive EV market. And second quarter plus 9% quarter over quarter global number, 460,000 isn't out of the question. So 460,000, well, that's somebody's number. Oh, I was going to wait till the end to tell you that. So he's saying 460 could happen. Okay, Brian White will explain his numbers tomorrow morning in that show, and his number is 489. Now that's production. He doesn't give a delivery estimate, but his production number is 489. My production number was 490. I have lowered it to 460 because I don't really have a good reason. Anyway, so we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, the vast majority seem to be hitting this slot of 445 to 455. Any one of those numbers, anywhere in that range, will satisfy the street. In fact, 455, even 452, 53 will probably be a good thing, probably raise the stock up on Monday. Light trading on Monday, that can always make things swing a lot more one way or another direction than usual because there's not as many traders. But then immediately everybody's attention will turn to margins. Some are guessing as low as 15%. I mean, folks that really pay attention. and others are as high as 21%. None of these numbers will matter in the short term. Over the long term, Tesla will return to 25% or higher margins on their light vehicles. Anyway, from turning to the economy, from Market Watch, this, I'm quoting, the US economy expanded at a surprisingly robust 2% pace, as we reported the other day, in the first 3 months of the year, and it could mimic that performance in the just ended second quarter. We could still be at this 2% level. Gross domestic product is also forecast to grow as much as 2% in the period running from, these repeating themselves, from April to June, according to the most recent Wall Street forecast. GDP is the official scorecard for the US economy. Really? Okay. The Atlanta Fed is now forecasting second quarter at 2.2. S&P Global, perhaps the premier Wall Street forecasting firm sees the economy expanding at 1.8 in the second quarter. Guess what? And this is me, not them. It's going to continue in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. It's going to continue. Most other forecasts on Wall Street range from 1% to 2%, but they could fluctuate until the GDP report is released at the end of July. A handful of economic reports yet to be released could alter the final estimates. However, I think those are probably right. Part of the consumer consumption uptick is due to the oil and gas tax reduction. That's me. That's not them. That's me saying this. No, governments haven't reduced the taxes they're charging at the pump. What I'm saying is that many economists call what you pay for your home and auto energy a tax. As the cost goes up and down, consumers have more or less money to pay for other things, including discretionary purchases. So as oil continues to be at lows, and some forecast even lower numbers ahead, that could be extremely good for consumers' discretionary items like buying a new car. So watch those oil numbers because they matter in home heating and they matter at the pump. And it's like a tax. A lot of other things you have, like your rent and your mortgage and even your food costs and whatnot, they don't fluctuate that much. But as you know, gasoline and home heating and gas, home gas, all those things can go up and down quite a bit. All right. Announced, now back to Tesla. Huge over-the-air update was just announced with lots of fun additions. I'm not going to go into the list. You can get the list from Electric. You can get that list from lots of other folks out there. That's not what I do here. However, it is a reminder. No other car company has this feature. Nobody else is improving your car month after month, year after year, making your car better than it was when you bought it. It's still a Tesla unique thing. And a lot of other car companies, Volkswagen comes to mind, have been struggling for years to try to get the over-the-air update thing happening. And you know what? Once they get the over-the-air update thing happening, then they got to have something that of value to increase, to add to what the car can do. Are they going to be able to increase the number of miles per charge that you get? I mean, this is the kind of thing Tesla has changed. Anyway, we'll talk more about this in another Brian White interview that I'm doing on Thursday. That's another must watch. When we got done with that particular interview, I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best interviews ever. And we'll be talking about over-the-air updates and some other things. All right. The Model 3 Highland version is also getting a lot of rumors swirling, including ones that say it will have substantially more range and a slightly larger battery. So Not a Tesla app puts it this way. In the Model 3's early stages, its base variant, the rear-wheel drive, had a 55 kilowatt battery. Tesla later bumped that up to 60 kilowatt hours. This new upgrade that's coming out later this year is being rumored that it will have another 6 kilowatt hours of battery capability, which could add 30 miles of driving range. They go on to say, but the benefits of this battery upgrade don't stop at distance. The M3P battery packs are also cheaper, which hints at an upcoming reduction in the Model 3's production cost. This could mean more competitively priced Tesla cars on the market, boosting their appeal to a wider demographic of eco-conscious drivers. Well, this is part of my thinking that the Highland will eventually be less expensive than it is now. However, I think on the rollout, it will be more expensive, and they will also be pushing, or maybe even only taking orders for the higher level of the versions. Anyway, that's kind of how I see it rolling out. Again, we'll talk a lot more about. I think Model 3 is going to be a bigger deal. This Highland increase, this Highland change is going to be a much bigger deal than any of us are thinking about. That is the second Brian White interview later this week, probably Thursday. All right. Here's a twist. Remote delivery of a short-term rental car. So Fox 5 in Las Vegas is reporting that you can go to Las Vegas, you can get an app, Halo, on halo.car, and halo.car, and you can go on the app and you can have them remotely deliver a vehicle to you, any place in Las Vegas. So what they've got, it's kind of like a drone. They've got somebody sitting in a command booth, and when the car is hailed, then somebody in the command booth is driving the car with a joystick or however they're going to do it. And they drive the car without a driver over to where the person is that wants to rent it. Then the person gets in the car and then they drive it like a normal car. And then when they drop the car off, then the folks in the command booth get back and they remotely take it to the next person that wants to drive it. So anyway, that's halo.car. Interesting concept. Something we will pay attention to and see how they do. Elon has said that GPT, large language models, are scraping Twitter to build their databases. And that put a massive demand on Twitter. And that caused the service to go down for some people earlier today. So he immediately jumped in. Well, they immediately jumped in and they established some limits on how many tweets everybody can view per day, and depending on your rank, whether you have the blue check mark or how new you are, et cetera, there's several different levels. Then you can only watch X number of, or look at X number of tweets. Of course, that caused the regular crowd of haters to go crazy and be all upset and concerned and anxious, and who cares? Whatever. So anyway, Market Watch says, okay, we're back to the economy again. I'm sorry, today I kind of was putting this together and I didn't get it all in the same. Anyway, I'm sure you don't care. Back to, they say this: a recession can't always be 6 months away. That was a quote from Neil Dutta, the head of, or Dutta, I'm not sure, Dutta, head of economic research at Renaissance Macro, referring to the fact that some economists have been anticipating since early 2022. They've been thinking we're going to get this recession since early 2022. He says economists have a tendency of falling in love with their forecast, and said it is clear that some are having trouble letting go. Fed, you think, maybe? Those are economists that are really having trouble letting go of their forecast and not being totally in love with what they've already decided is true. Dutta said real incomes are advancing and the drag on housing is fading. You've heard that here over and over and over again. But recession worrywarts think the current strength of the economy, despite the Federal Reserve's 5 percentage point increase in its policy interest rate in the past year, is what has them the most worried. And again, what have I been saying? If you watch this channel, you know I've been saying it is now baked in. If I want to go buy a car, I know I'm going to pay 7%. If I want to go buy a house, I know I'm going to pay 6.5%, 7%. If I'm going to go put something on a charge card and I don't have some special rate, I know I'm going to pay 23%. But that hasn't changed that much. I know what it's going to cost me, and I'm going to make my decision based on that. And another 0.25% interest rate hike, 25 basis points, or another 50. It's not going to change very much out there in terms of what people do. So they go on to say they think the Fed is going to keep tightening monetary policy until there's pain in financial markets and the real economy. Jim Baird says, maybe the recession is delayed, but I still think it's going to be hard to avoid. This is the chief economist officer at Plante Morin Financial Advisors. He says the Fed has a propensity to break the economy by raising interest rates until they do so. To break the economy, put brakes on the economy by raising interest rates until they break it, he added. So this is now from Sal Guattieri. I wish everybody had easier names like mine. So he says, almost every indicator for the U.S. economy landed on the strong side of expectations this past week, noted Sal. senior economist at BMO Capital Markets, in a note to clients. Well, that's right. And that's what I was saying all last week. Well, I have my opinion and I'm sticking with it. No recession ever. Well, not ever. Could have one anytime because of some major change that none of us is looking for. Some black swan or even gray swan event can always send us over the edge. It won't be because of a 50 basis point raise in the interest rates. So no recession, inflation back down to 2% or less later this year. By the way, I did look up true inflation a little while ago, and they're now down to 2.35, 2.35, awfully close to 2%. And of course, I'm mostly worried that the Fed will overshoot and it will actually go into deflation or into something close to zero inflation. And that's not what they're shooting for. They want it to be at 2. So anyway, I believe there will also be strong auto sales in the second half affecting Tesla. And I base that on the fact that how old the fleet is and the fact that we have full employment and that wages are going up. And that auto dealers that are selling new cars have all kinds of ways to manipulate that interest rate to make it attractive if they need to. Right now, they don't seem to need to. Right now, auto sales are actually pretty strong. And then I did give away, I know I said I was going to tell you at the end, but I told you at the beginning, 460,000 production, 460,000 shipments. Those are my predictions. If you like this particular episode, please hit like, please hit subscribe, hit notify so you can be reminded about Brian tomorrow morning, about Larry Goldberg again, I think on Tuesday, and then on Brian again on Thursday. Oh yeah, and then of course, the ones where I don't have a guest during the rest of the week. So Patreon is great. Oh yeah, have you bought the book yet? Elon Musk Mission, Elon Musk Method. The mission is for people that just want to learn a lot more about all of Elon Musk's companies and a tad about Elon Musk himself, but what makes these companies so strong? What are the moats? What are the reasons? What is it about Elon in combination with these companies that makes all of the companies really amazing and almost impossible to catch up to? And then the Elon Musk Method is for entrepreneurs, as is When Friday Isn't Payday. When Friday Isn't Payday has actually been out since 1993. It is now in the 3rd edition. It has sold consistently since 1993 to people who either are thinking about getting into business or people who are already in business and need some ideas, some marketing concepts, some operational aspects, some bookkeeping knowledge, some financial knowledge, how to buy a business, how to sell a business. All of that's in When Friday Isn't Payday. Inc. magazine said it was the best small business book of the year, 1993. And then Making Money Out of Thin Air is I love this book. I did it with my CPA, Shayla Chamberlain. If you need a great CPA, buy the book. And after you buy the book, you'll probably go, you know what? Shayla would be a great CPA for me, for my company, or for my taxes. That's all I got for you today. And without further ado, it's been great